What is up? Happy NFL draft week, everybody. We've got a man, he's repping the blue and teal right now, but let's run it down. We are in week 19, guys. We've got the one and only Albanian analyst repping everything blue and teal. As you can say, hoping for 2 number 1 draft picks overall, actually. We've got the owner of both super teams. His head might be a bit compressed on this pod. We still love him anyway. True trailblazer, it's House of 03. We've got, by this man did tell me to change it, so I have changed it. It's Lou Dort's number 1 fan, and he's hoping for a Corey Joseph revenge tour. It's all aboard their Paranchich Express. Keeping all doors closed since 97. A kiss from a rose, Lancashire Lambert, and finally, season with wild views, opinions, and odd rages. We've got the man Salt Bray. How are my GMs doing? Are we all good?
Doing good.
Yeah, doing good, man.
That's good. As we said before, Jordan looks like he's walked in House of Mirrors at the fun fair, but that's all right. We're going to get past that. We're going, well, where are we going to head first, man? This man has a very big day on Thursday. I think he's staying up for the draft. He's got a bit of lag with connection, and he's also hoping for the first round pick in this year's 6th-man draft, the first draft that we've ever done. We're covering the Pacific. We're going to head to LA, and we're going to head to the ugliest sister first. That is the Los Angeles Clippers, who have been playing pretty well. You know, they're 3-1 this week. They're 43-20 overall. Ed, take it away.
But by the way, I'm the only one allowed to call them the ugly sister. You lot can't do that. I've got them in my house. I call them ugly sister. I don't want that disrespect. So, 3-1. Actually, they were 3-0 this way. Are we talking? Sorry, are we talking as if the past couple of days have happened or not? Because I'm considering that they haven't happened.
Yes, we are.
So, it's on the dock.
Cool. So I want to talk about Clippers, as you mentioned, Alex. They were 3-1 this week. And since we last spoke about them, they went 10-2. And I particularly want to talk about one game, which was the loss, because I mean, once we're now in playoff season, so playoffs are anything. Oh, actually, sorry, Alex, I should have explained. So the playoffs is when you do really well in the regular season and you do well enough to make it to like where you can win something. So just for you who might not understand what the playoffs is, Alex, you might not have experienced that in fantasy. I just want to let you know, not make you feel left out.
How's that number 1 pick for the Jags? How's the Magic doing?
That's how
the Magic making the playoffs.
That's what the
Magic making the playoffs. No, I don't think so.
Actually, that's a good. Alex, that's a good point, actually. So I need to come clean. We had an internal meeting at House Lascaux where the Magic were like, we need to blow this up. And the remaining 5 teams were like, you know what, we got you. The rest of us were going to make the playoffs. You go ahead, get the number 1 draft pick because we understand what you're doing. Go win the G League as well. We'll let you go win the G League as well. So you brought it up. I just had to let you know that was some insider trading, but that's all fine. That's all sorted. But anyway, as we were with the Clippers, the one game I want to talk about, Alex, is actually the loss to Philly, a 3-point loss. And there are a couple of things there that I think are important to consider. And there are a couple of things there that are important to consider as we move into the playoffs. So Philly won by 3 points. Kawhi was out, but Paul George was playing and has been playing really, really well past couple of weeks. He's been doing really well. And against Philly, he scored, I think it was how many points did he have? He had 37 points, 9 rebounds. But Philly had Embiid, who scored 36 and had 14 rebounds as well. Of those 36 points, he had 16 from the free throw line. He went 16 for 18. The Clippers fouled him 18 times. There was a lot of double teams because they couldn't handle Embiid as a presence. Now that is a worry because we all know who knocked out the Clippers last year, and that was Jokic and the Nuggets. So I don't like the Clippers' ability to not be able to defend big men. I've spoken previously about how they struggled to defend point guards and smaller guards because when Patrick Beverley was out, Reggie Jackson couldn't necessarily do that. Maybe that's also part of why they got Rondo as well. So that's just something I want to bring up, and I didn't feel confident from a Clippers perspective. And also something else that I noticed was that Philly shot 14 from 44 from 3. Clippers shot 19 from 39. So Philly took 5 more threes, but the Clippers made 5 more. And they still lost. So that's also another thing which was like, wow, that's because I was listening to last week's show and Wildy said something. Wildy said, well, they shot more threes, so they won. And obviously, like, that's just how it's become this day in the NBA. If you shoot more threes, you win. And I wanted to try and find some stats which will tell me something different, or which teams win by not shooting more threes. And I couldn't find something specific. But when I did spot that, I was like, you know what? Like, maybe defense is the way forward and not necessarily just jacking up all those threes, because even if you do that, there are still other elements in the game that needs to be on point.
Yeah, and Ed, you didn't know this, but we are going to talk about Joel Embiid and double teams later in the show. So that's a really good transition that you've picked up on. Yeah, I mean, like you said with the Clippers, Kawhi has missed 7 out of their last 8 games, but the Clippers have won 11 out of their last 12. As far as my notes go, PG is averaging 31 points per game, 5 assists, and he's averaging 1.7 steals. He does this quite a lot, and he's got a shooting split of he's in the 50, 40, 90.
Yeah.
And I know that you're a man who prefers all NBA over all stars.
Yes.
As we've talked about. So which all NBA team should he be in? Where would you?
Good question. So when you posed this in the group, I had a look and I built out my all NBA teams. And I would say PG, I would put him in the first team. That will be alongside Luka, Harden, Giannis, and Jokic. I've seen a lot of people, so I just try and look at some predictions for what other people put, just comparing against what I thought. A lot of people had, some people had LeBron there, some people had Kawhi there. I just thought just because Paul George's been there a bit longer, and he does tend to do better in the regular season, I felt Paul George will go in the first team.
And I have a question. Are you leaving out a fellow House Lasky person? Should Julius Randle be in the first team for all NBA?
Good question. I put him second team.
Okay.
I know a lot of people, I was looking at what other people put. Not a lot of people had Julius Randle in either one of their all NBA team, or either 3 of their all NBA teams, which I was really surprised about. But he is in my second team.
Nice. Okay, cool. Any more from the Clippers before we move on?
No, we're good. So the last time we spoke, so this is like the last time we're going to be speaking about the Clippers. I would like to thank them for their services to House Lasky. They have been credible assets for what we have here at the number 1 seed, and I bid you farewell.
Wow. Okay. Signing off just like that. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like a professional relationship. You know, he got what he wanted, and now he's out. Hey, you got to give him props for that. Right. Let's head to Dub Nation. Okay. Let's head to Lancashire Lambert. You know, the door is shut. My man is 3-2 this week for the Warriors, and he's 31-31 overall. Talk to me about what's happening in GS Dub.
Yeah, the Warriors. So, like you said, are 3-2 this week. They have improved much more of late. So since the last time we spoke about the Warriors, they've gone 8-4 in that run. They've beaten the likes of the Bucks, the Sixers, the Nuggets twice in that time, and their defeats have only been against the Celtics, 2 versus the Wizards, so keeping it inside the Lancashire Lambert house, and then a defeat against the Mavericks most recently. So like I said, they're 31-31. I think they've pretty much solidified that 10th spot now in the West, so definitely with that play-in spot now. The Pelicans are a bit too far behind now. So yeah, they've really recovered well of late, and who else has helped them get to that position than Steph Curry?
Man, what a run this man's been on. If you're talking about, I witnessed it firsthand. You know, he beat Philly down. To be honest, bro, George Hill was his first game. He couldn't handle him. He was put in the torture chamber. He was probably thinking, like, what am I doing in the league anymore? Because there was this one move where he set him up and he did a step back, and George Hill was like 10 feet away from him, you know, and he just hit shots down the stretch off high pick and rolls, which is crazy. So yeah, win against Philly, loss against the Wizards, which, like you said, is professional agreement. Wins against Nuggets and Kings, and then ending with a bad loss against the Mavs. And when the Warriors lose, they do lose badly. But let's speak about Steph Curry, because this man, Steph Curry, man. Honestly, bro, I'm just in awe. He set the record for most 3-pointers in a month with 85. We've still got days left. Let's just put that in perspective, okay? So he did it with 85. Can anybody tell me, Matt? You obviously have first dibs. Can you tell me who he passed to get this record? And I'll tell you this. Well, actually, it's a bit obvious, but this player is an active player.
Play?
I know who it is.
Isn't it just him?
Nope.
Nope.
I was going to say. Because every time he breaks a record these days, it's usually him passing himself.
Put us out of our misery, bro.
Was it Damian Lillard?
Nope, it's James Harden.
H-Town. Yes. Harden hit 82 in November 2019. Matt, I was also thinking, like, this is another amazing achievement, you know, something for his long list when he retires. But what do you think his greatest achievement to date? Is it the MVP? You know, everybody voted for him. I can't remember what it's called.
Unanimous.
Unanimous MVP.
Yeah, I think there's getting a unanimous MVP. It's not exactly an achievement that happens often, is it? So, and when you look back at the end of your career, that's probably going to be the one, along with the rings, that he's probably going to be most proud of. He's having such a stellar season as well. Like he leads the NBA for points per game now. He's overtook Bradley Beal since the last time we spoke about the Warriors. And he's actually averaging more points he did than when he won his second MVP in 2016. He averaged 30 points a game then. Now he's averaging 31. And yeah, he's been so unbelievable of late. And it's the sort of shots that he makes as well. Like I think there was one game against the Celtics. He was off balance, and it was on the edge of the 3-point line, and it was like a left-handed, just like hook shot that he just threw in hope and splash. Like, that is Steph. He's just that good. He's been that good for the Warriors of late. But another player that I want to shout out about for the Warriors is Draymond. He's really stepped it up of late. He's averaged 10 assists and 8 rebounds over the past 10 games. Definitely contributed to that run. I know that, like, I just saw Ed just have a little bit of but Draymond really has chipped in of late, and he's not the guy that contributes mostly on the stat sheet. He leads the team on the floor in general, and he's, like, of late as well, he's tied his career high of assists versus the Nuggets. He grabbed 12 rebounds in that game as well, and he actually only scored 2 points in that game. 2 points, 19 assists, and 12 rebounds. That's one heck of a stat line.
That's madness.
Just from a fancy perspective, because I had him and traded him because he annoyed me. But as I think we've spoken about this before, defensively is also like where he just has the biggest impact on the team, because he is still their best defender, and just the leadership and tutelage you see him given to the younger players is really, really good for the team. But yeah.
Well, apparently the greatest defender of all time. I'm not on that board. I don't really like that, but okay, sure. Matt, I'm actually going to have to correct you, because Curry is sitting number 2 in scoring right now. He's got 31.2, and Bill is just ahead with 31.4. Quick answer, because, you know, they're both your boys. Bill or Curry, scoring title, who's going to
win? Steph, the form he's in right now.
Yeah.
I think he's averaging like 37, 38 over the last 10 games.
I agree. I do agree. Any closing words you want to say about the Warriors now as you say goodbye to them?
Only closing thing on the Warriors is they've done good for me. I'll take their performance. Like, with Steph on his own, he's managed to get that team into the playing spot. I don't think they could have done much better given the teams that are in the West. And shout out James Wiseman. He had a good rookie season, but he's unlucky now that he's done this. He's injured his knee, so he's sadly going to miss the playoffs. But let's see how they get on in the play-in tournament. I
personally thought you were going to shout out James Wildsmith, and that's who we're heading to next in Phoenix, Arizona.
You're welcome, Matt. You're welcome.
Yeah, always. Very nice. I like the community feel. You know, just before we get to the playoffs and things get a bit tense, you know, a bit chippy. The Phoenix Suns, wow, one of the stories of the season. They are 3-2 this week. They are 43-18. They are pushing for that number 1 seed in the West, in the Western Conference. That's ridiculous. Jay Wild, our correspondent, we head to you now.
It's terrific stuff, man. Yeah, just to sort of touch on where they're at. And with this being the last one I talk about, I kind of got to push the boat out as well and just say that, yeah, they got 11 games left. Their next 2 games, one of them being tonight, recording on Wednesday, they've got against the Clippers, and then they've got the Jazz. Clippers are one game behind them, and the Jazz are 1 game ahead. So after those 2 games, they actually have the hardest schedule out of those 3 teams. Although it not be like super harder than the other 2, but if they win these next 2, there's every chance that they could clinch that 1 seed. But the Jazz have a very cushy record going forward. I will just say that, but it is very, very possible with the form that they're on. Yeah, this week they're on 3-2. They had 2 amazing wins, one against Bucks and one against Philadelphia. Both decided by 1 possession. That the Philadelphia win was Joel Embiid missing that full court baseball lob off the missed free throw from Chris Paul. Oh my God, what the hell was that? The reaction time is madness. He barely had time to set his feet, and he just like little hop.
Do you know what's madness about that whole shot? What did we talk about last week with George? George said, we were talking about revenge stories, and he said, oh, imagine if Joel Embiid had a play that was similar to Kawhi. That literally reminded me so much of that play. It's crazy.
Oh, Kawhi's went in. Sorry, bro. But I know what you're saying. I know what he's saying. Yeah, so, look, I mean, they went to face the Nets. The Nets finally had 2 of their superstars with KD and Kyrie. And unfortunately, they just got outscored. But one thing I want to say, Devin Booker, man, just want to remind you guys, this guy is only 24, man. I cannot wait to see how much better this guy gets and the projection of his career. So he's on the floor with 2 of the great scorers of all time, in Kyrie and Kevin Durant, talking about how they can score in all different ways. Yet he ends up on top with 36. Kevin Durant gets 33 and Kyrie gets 34. He just likes to hang with the big dogs. And he's a killer. I can't wait for him to get so much better. And then next game, they go in to play the Knicks. Knicks were red hot on a 10-game winning streak. So, playing against the Knicks is not what it used to be. They've had a really tough week. I've just rattled off all these teams, and yet they've come out with a winning record. So they're doing very, very well. Beat the Knicks, and it just turned into the Chris Paul show. He went clutch at the end, just hitting unbelievable shots. I don't know if you guys saw those highlights, but it was absolute madness. Yeah. Chris Paul, man. I know I blab on about him, but he is now 5th all time on the assist list. Past Magic Johnson, he's now number 5. He's only 160 assists away from being 3rd. Okay, so I'm already putting money down that he's going to be 3rd of all time, no doubt. And then the next 2 people above him will be Jason Kidd, and then of course John Stockton. It is very unlikely anyone will ever catch John Stockton. Let me tell you that right now. But 2nd is very much up for grabs. If you see the kind of numbers he's putting up at this age, okay, and you think about what Jason Kidd was like towards the end of his career, where he was just kind of like luggage, and he was so smart in the same way that Chris Paul was, that he was still able to get assists and basically up that total. If Chris Paul was playing like this at 35, he could have at least another 4 years, where even if the last few years is him just being a distributor and reading the game and playing the right way. As long as that guy can run, he will be on the team. So I'd be excited to see where he finally ends up, but it will at least be number 3 at all time, Chris Paul, on the assist list. So it's kind of my closing point on it. I freaking love these guys. I can't believe I'm not going to be able to talk about them again. They're just so awesome. I picked them because I love the idea of Chris Paul being with a team that went 8-0 in the bubble, and it has not disappointed. They've been unreal. We'll see where I finish. See if I might be able to pick them in the playoffs.
Yeah, you never know. Wardy, just a point I wanted to close on. A report came out earlier this week. I just wanted to share this with you. I thought this was really interesting. Sources said that Philadelphia, when Daryl Morey and Doc Rivers recently joined, they made a push to land Chris Paul. And the Sixers actually believed that they thought they could have a possible deal. But the funny thing is that the interest from Chris Paul, he just said, "No, I'm not feeling it." So he literally turned it down. I was going to ask you the question of I think it's a rhetorical question. Do you think he made the right decision? I just want you to weigh it up. I don't know what the package would have been, but obviously Philly are playing well, but I think Suns have definitely surpassed. I think they're the number one overachiever for this season, I would say.
Yeah. I think if Chris Paul is the one saying no, then it definitely is the right decision, because credit to Bray. I know we've joked about Chris Paul experiment. Chris is a very particular guy.
He's pissed.
No, I just know I'm wrong. That's all that is.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. But at the
same
time, there are some people he doesn't get on with. So look, if Chris isn't feeling the situation, then it only would have gone bad. And the only thing, and if it had gone wrong, the only thing people would have pointed at is that he's now 35 and this is kind of the end of it. So he has to have good seasons from now on. Otherwise, unfortunately, he will be ushered out. But I just don't see that happening as long as he makes the decision he does. And he's so damn smart. He knows what's going to work for him. So I think he's going to be just fine. So to answer your question, if Chris made the decision, it was the right one.
Very interesting.
Can I quickly go into a quick wormhole, just very quickly? If that were to have happened and Chris Paul were to have gone to Philly, does that mean that Philly is more willing to give up Ben Simmons in a James Harden deal?
That's correct.
No, Ben Simmons would have gone. They wouldn't have got. There's no way.
Isn't that what you were saying though? Yeah. They're more likely to give up Ben than Joe.
Yeah, I mean that's the case though.
No. Ed was saying if they managed to land Chris Paul, they have then looked to be in a better position to land Harden as well, and definitely not because Chris Paul got traded from the Rockets.
But what was the trade? I saw it wasn't even that much.
What to get James Harden or
no to get Chris Paul?
It was the Westbrook trade, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was.
Weird relationship. Chris Paul and James Harden.
Also, it was an excellent point, Wildy. I wouldn't be surprised if he was like, I don't fancy playing for Doc.
I think that's what it was. I don't think they've smoothed over the cracks.
And Daryl Morey as well, who obviously traded him.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Good point, Bray. Right, let's move from a guy who is so sad to see him leave his team for a man who is so happy that this is the last time that he's talking about the Sacramento Kings. The Kings, though, he's so happy. I would be as well. They're 2-2 this week. Fair play to them. At least they've leveled out this week. Hang on, Bray. Hang on. Sorry, Kings fans. Bray again, being wild. 2-2 this week, and they're 25-36 overall. Bray, for the final time, vent away about the Kings.
Yeah,
there you go.
Thank goodness. No good job to the Kings for anything. My bet at the start of the season was surely the Kings have got to be better than the Spurs, and they just can't do it. So no props to the Kings. Anyway, it's all bad news for them because Fox is out with COVID protocols. So he's by far and away their most talented player, and it's not even close to close. So they kind of had a chance in there to get the 10 seed. There was a window of opportunity in the last couple of weeks where they edged a bit closer despite playing awfully. They had a 9-game losing streak since we last talked about them. Despite that, they had a chance to get close. They had a game against the Warriors to cut it to about a game or 2 games behind them for that 10th seed, and they lost it. And then all of a sudden, it spirals out of control, and they're nowhere near. They're just not going to get there. They haven't shown that they're going to be there all year, and I think it's because their team is just so shallow. So De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, and Harrison Barnes are all in the top 23 players in minutes in the league.
Like, there's only 30 teams in the league, and the Kings have got 3 players in the top 23 in minutes. They're riding those guys, and they can't get wins. Like, it's such a poorly constructed team.
Okay, well, I'll give you a play which sums up the Kings season, right? And Matt will preach for this. And that Warriors Kings game, Halliburton, he has the layup, he cuts it to 1, they inbound the ball. Steph gets double teamed, and then he throws a pass, and when I mean it's straight to Buddy Hield, it is literally directly to him. Buddy Hield, he obviously is in 2 minds. He catches it, fumbles it out of bounds. And you're literally like, they're giving you a win here. Yeah. Just take it. And I think that just sums up the King season.
Well, and the thing about Buddy Hield is that he's definitely regressed this year as well. So with Halliburton on the team, he's had less shots and he's actually been less efficient with it as well. So it means his scoring just really isn't there. He is 28 years old now. He's not a young guy anymore. Whereas obviously you look at Fox and Halliburton, who are, like 6 or more years younger than him basically, which is like, oh, okay, does he really fit our timeline now? And he will earn $24.4 million this year for a guy who's just not. I think it's just a bad use of cap space, in my opinion. I think they would have to give stuff up to get off his contract, because I don't think he lives up to it, unless someone's seeing potential that I'm not. Maybe it's just that Kings effect. Maybe guys are worse than the Kings. Who knows?
Okay, we're going to go from negative, and then we're going to go with positive, and you can have your closing thoughts. Right, the negative. Kings are on track to tie the Clippers record for the longest playoff drought in NBA history. That's 15 years. That's the negative. Bad. Positive, if you would say it. So Windhorse reported that Kings rookie Halliburton gave a team staff member his Visa card to purchase a Top Shot pack. Guys all know about those. When a surprise release was about to drop. So I was thinking, which Kings moment would you like to own if you had a Top Shot account? I've actually come up with like a little short list if nobody can think of anything.
Oh, what, like historic Kings moments?
Yes, historic, not this season.
Surely there's some Weber highlights in there.
No. You got it? I've got a short list if you want.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Right, Mike Bibby, Game 5, game winner against the Lakers, Western Conference Finals, 2002, even though they got robbed in that series. Tyreek Evans half-court buzzer beater against Memphis, where the guy like jumps because he knows it's going in, nut shot. And then I've got the white chocolate behind the back pass to Chris Webber, which is just, it's disgusting.
That's it. Because there's
can we just have a montage of white chocolate, please?
It's just...
It has to be that pass, because obviously, like, we talked about the Kings have got a massive playoff drought, so we really can't have top shots of the Kings winning stuff because they never win anything. So, but interesting you brought up that playoff drought as well. So in the teams of the top 4, the Kings are the only team in that top 4 that are set to continue their drought. Do you guys know who those other 3 teams are? They're about to break the drought though. They had the 3. So the top 4 teams who have playoff droughts, 3 of them are about to break it. Who are they?
Knicks? No, Knicks.
Yep. Knicks.
Suns?
Yep. Yeah. They were the second.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't been in since Nash.
Hornets?
Yep.
Oh,
there you go. Great shout. 2016 they last made it.
Bray, give me your closing thoughts. Go on the Kings. Let's get out of it. We packed our bags.
My closing thoughts on the Kings are: if I get a chance to pick them again or avoid picking them, I will be avoiding them because I hate this franchise. I'm done.
I wonder how many teams you're gonna have to say that for.
2.
You just repeat.
4 or 6. 4 or 6.
No, 2. These guys.
You're lying, bro. Right, the last team in the Pacific Division, which I think we've all enjoyed. Wow, it started so well, didn't it? It started so well for Mr. Super Teams over there. That mirror is looking rather thin. How's the way through? The Lakers if it wasn't for the later viewing, they wouldn't have had a win. It would have been 0-3, but they're 1-3 this week, and they're 36 and 25 overall. My only annoyance is that the teams around them have not taken advantage. But Jordan, this is your time. This is the Lakers potentially saying goodbye to the Lakers. So, Jordan, take it away.
Yeah, kind of a upsetting end. I'm not gonna lie, a few tears with the performance towards the end, especially. But I think, having said that, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's something which obviously a speed bump in the road, which a lot of teams have gone through this season. Like, I'm sure you guys have recognized, like, it seems every time you scroll through a feed, another player has gone down with injury. And of course, it was Lakers' time to go through that. Unfortunately, it was towards the end of the season. And because of that, they have suffered like that massive knock, especially defensively. And I know throughout like this season of us first time recording this podcast, I've been saying it's like the players forgotten how to play basketball. I like to redact that statement and probably say, again, it's probably harsh on them because they've just got to adjust to completely all these new roles in short space of time. So maybe I've been a bit too harsh with that in those previous statements. So I do help my hands up and take that back.
George, do you know how frequent the injuries have been? They're about as frequent as the camera being off in this podcast. That's happening so much.
I know. It's just like it's got to the point where I've been like, oh man, another one? Jeez, okay, snap. Damn. But yeah, anyway, so over the last 10 games, I believe it's been like 4-6. Like you mentioned before, we've got that one win and we're 36 and 25 with that. Obviously, as I said before, they have been dropping. They're in 5th position with that, especially with that defense. So when we first left off during that week, they got a win against Toronto and a win against the Nets, which I was happy with. But of course, they lost to Heat in that game. The week after that, they went 2-2, lost to Celtics, and of course, those destroyers in the Knicks who have been on fire, as we all know, going on with that insane win streak with that as well. Win against the Hornets and Utah Jazz. Week 4, of course, you got that one win, thankfully. But they did lose out to Utah Jazz, Dallas Mavericks twice with that, with Luka, just being Luka with that. Like, I have to admit, with clutch players, talking about that, when I see Luka with the ball, with the shot clock going down, I'm always worried and scared with what he's going to do, because it seems like, I know we spoke about Curry, but you have to give that shout out to Luka as well with the shots he managed to throw off as well with that. Of course, with that, as we mentioned before, Davis and LeBron were out. Davis has recently come back in. Unfortunately, it has been a bit of a knock. I believe with his first performance, you saw that with his outside shooting, and it was a case of having that rust and shaking that off, but also, as he's mentioned himself, kind of reworking back into that roster and getting into rotation and sorting out what's going on. With that, he has also been on his minute restrictions. On forward with what I was saying, they do have the sets of those easy games. Most recently was Magic again, and Wizards as well. Washington Wizards as well. Those games in particular, I saw them as must-wins. Fortunately, they got off with that Orlando win as well, so I was really happy with that.
But be careful about those Wizards, though, man. They're grinding hard. Fair play to them. Yeah. They have not given up. In the first Mavs game, the Lakers had 28 fouls to the Mavs 15. Massive problem. the second game. They get outscored by 27 in the second half. So they were in good positions. They just didn't close it well. But Jord, we are going to end with the last point of the Lakers is that one of mine and Ed's favorite podcasts is All the Smoke. Jeannie Buss was on this week. She was a really good episode, super interesting. She discussed how Kobe could have gone to the Clippers before re-signing with the Lakers. That was really interesting. And then she also named her top 5 most important Lakers of all time. So we have Kobe, Kareem, LeBron, Magic, and Phil Jackson. The first question is, do we agree with that list? Okay. Let's decide if we agree with that list. I don't think LeBron should be on that list.
I think
Shaq should be there as well. Go on.
Yeah, Shaq should be up there. For me, like what you mentioned with LeBron, I think, like you said, we should switch that mainly because my argument with that, it might be too soon to say that in terms of the history of like the other players, what they've contributed, even though LeBron obviously there and he brought that championship, but with all-time Lakers, I wouldn't quite put him up there just yet.
Hey, yeah. Shaq got him 3. LeBron's only done 1.
Yeah, I agree.
Can I say though, on the whole, I wasn't expecting a coach thing. I really liked that by her. Listen, Phil Jackson, that he came back and helped them win 2 more is the reason he's on that list. After Phil left, there was a book done by Phil just trashing Kobe and how he was as a teammate. Yet they figured that out. He came back and then they won 2 more together. So Phil is big time for that. I think if Phil hadn't done that, Shaq would definitely be on it. And I think the reason why LeBron is on it, I mean, obviously there's an element of recency bias. I do agree with you guys. But he did transform them from out of the playoffs to the championship in 2 years. So he pulled down and just, pulled the biggest rabbit out of the world's smallest hat, man. So that thing's why it's there. But I love Shaq. I wouldn't be mad if he was on it.
That's a good point, Wildy. I think we do sometimes forget about LeBron's ability and his work, which he does in the background to kind of like pull teams up with that. So yeah, that's a good point.
Right, quick answer from everyone. We'll start with Lancashire Lambert. Who is number 1 on that list? I was having a think. This is tough.
It's number 1 out of that top 5.
Yeah, Kobe, Kareem, LeBron, Magic, and Phil. Who is number 1?
Probably Magic.
Okay. Let's go round. Jord, go next. Actually, we'll close with Jord. Bray, you go next.
Yeah, I think it's Kareem. He's the all-time leading scorer. And how many rings did he get? I think he might have won 5 or 6 with them. 5, yeah.
I think he won 5. Or he might have.
I think he made him 4, and then he won 1 with Milwaukee. So I think Magic won 1 without Kareem.
He's got 6 rings though.
Oh, 6. Oh, then it must have been all 5 though.
So Kareem.
I'm taking this from at the end of the day, it's a business about drawing fandom and about who gave the most energy and influence to like a generation and people. So I get all the stats and stuff. Obviously, he got 5. It has to be Kobe if you're talking about importance. I think it's Kobe.
Ed?
I think it's Magic. Mix of what everyone's been saying. 1, on the court, he was the leader of that team. He was the face of that franchise on and off the court. When you think about Lakers, first thing people say is the Showtime Lakers, and Magic is the face of that. So I'm saying Magic.
I'm also going with Magic, and to add to Ed's point, he was the one who had a meeting with LeBron, helped him get there. So let's not forget that.
Oh, can we not big up GM Magic? I don't think he deserves that kind of hype.
Did LeBron sign for the Lakers?
Lonzo's going to get his number retired.
Because they're the Lakers, not because Magic had a meeting with him and then did a part-time GM job. What?
I don't think Rob Pelinka is all of that of a saint as well here. Let's
no. I'm saying it's the Lakers brand and franchise, and the fact that it means he can go and live in LA.
Yeah, LeBron will go where LeBron wants to go. I'm with Bray on this.
Yeah.
Right, George, close it out.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Matt and Alex there. I'm going to go with Magic. I actually do agree with Alex's point there. I was going to say the same thing with the GM point. Fair enough. The way it ended, like, I ain't gonna be here. Like, and put it in that whole style which you wanted. But the fact is, he was there, and LeBron has stated, like, he was like, I'm gonna be in here. Are you gonna be here? Yeah, I'm gonna be here. Let's get this done. Even though he had that influence, even though it was there, it could have gone either way. That's my point, man.
Sure, my boy. Right, closing thoughts on the Lakers. Just say goodbye to them. Go on, say goodbye.
Yeah, Lakers. What do I have to say? It's been a long run. We've had the ups at the beginning and the downs towards the end. I stuck with you. You know, Ed was trying to tease you over, and then all of a sudden he's loyal to the Clippers, and he's been holding their hand the whole time. But you know, it's not over yet. Season's not over. Wish them best for the playoffs. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see where we go next. Out for now.
All right. Well, we say goodbye to the Pacific, and we head into the postseason in this division with 4 out of the 5 being potential playoff teams. 3 locked in, 1 with the Warriors still yet to go. Very impressive division. Have enjoyed it. Let's take a quick break, and we'll move on to Atlantic.